Celtic fans' title party in Glasgow is going ahead on Saturday afternoon. After Brendan Rodgers' side takes care of St Mirren in Celtic's final fixture of the season, fans are planning to descend on Trongate and the Merchant City to celebrate the club's fourth title in a row. However, with an orange walk planned on Celtic's Trophy Day, the potential for trouble has now ramped up. Celtic fans have blasted the authorities for not allowing an organised party to happen in places like Glasgow Green to allow a safe celebration to go on and for allowing the Orange Order to be allowed to march on the day. But it seems that Police Scotland had a preference on where they wanted the Celtic fans to celebrate winning the league, and it might surprise supporters. Police Scotland wanted an organised event for Celtic title party. Police Scotland have a poor reputation amongst football fans in general, but Celtic supporters have no love for the local constabulary. But it seems that they wanted to organise a fan zone for Saturday's celebrations, as a Police Scotland spokesman told the Daily Mail. "We work closely with a range of partners to address concerns and ensure appropriate policing plans are in place to maintain public safety and minimise any disruption to the wider community." Just a few days ago, Assistant Chief Constable Mark Sutherland of Police Scotland had said, "Our preference was for an organised event or fan zone which would cause for less disruption, reduce levels of antisocial behaviour and improve public safety." Police Scotland requested this be considered with our partners, including Celtic FC and Glasgow City Council, as part of planning discussions. Unfortunately, this option wasn't progressed. "We're now working on the assumption that supporters will gather in the Trongate area. We'll do all we can to deal with antisocial behaviour. I'd urge supporters not to gather in large numbers and to respect the residents, businesses and wider public using the city centre." As it stands, Celtic fans will descend onto Trongate in what promises to be a party filled with green and white. And if there is trouble because the authorities allowed permission for an orange walk on the same day, then heads must roll. The real reason Colin Steven stood back and allowed Hibs' Jack Iredale's thuggish behaviour at Celtic Park. After going behind 1-0 against the run of play, Celtic won the game with ease as Nicholas Kuhn and Adam Ider ensured the Hoops went in at halftime on the lead. Rio Hatate sealed Celtic's win against Hibs as the game passed by without any major controversy. That was until Hibs defender Jack Iredale, acting like a cardboard gangster, and manhandled Kuhn right in front of referee Colin Steven. The Whistler has been getting criticism from some quarters for failing to act when it was all unfolding at Celtic Park. However, it appears that there is a reason why Steven didn't intervene, according to former FIFA referee Keith Hackett. Keith Hackett tells Colin Steven he misread Celtic Park, but it was not really his fault. Keith Hackett is more known for his Rangers leanings than talking about anything to do with Celtic, but here, he shares why Stein didn't intervene when Iredale grabbed Kuhn by the shirt. Hackett told Football Insider, "I think the first thing in a situation like that, the referee's got to be blowing their whistle. I do criticise the referee on this one in that I think walking away from it wasn't the thing. He ought to have read it a bit better. He ought to have had cognitive skills to be able to see that this could escalate. Sometimes, I know there's this desire to get to the right position for the next phase of play, but I think he ought to have held his position here, blew his whistle really forcibly, because that stops people generally, and I think it could have managed it more effectively. The danger here is if you're a 6'4" referee, it's easy to get involved with physicality, but the problem you've got with that is under modern forms of refereeing, I'd have ploughed in there and separated them like a boxing referee, but under the modern game and era of refereeing there is this view of blow the whistle, view it and then take action. So it appears the interpretation of the rules seems to be the issue rather than doing the common sense thing and going in to break the altercation up. But there is more. Colin Steven done his job, but could have been more proactive at Celtic Park. Hackett believes that by the letter of the law, Stein did the correct thing by booking both players. However, it appears that the SFA official could, and should, have done more to prevent this from escalating. Hackett continues, "I think recognizing it in the first place before it escalates, holding your position, whistle in mouth from the referee, I know that he'll receive some coaching advice and he will have learned from this particular incident. But the observation is, he's walked away from it a little bit, he has. He's thought that what he awarded is good and it hasn't been." Mark Guidi brightens up Celtic fans' day with Davide Ancelotti assistant claim for Rangers. It's been a great season for Celtic fans this year, and with the recent developments happening over at Rangers, next season has the potential to be even better. The new rumour about Davide Ancelotti becoming the front-runner for the vacant Rangers manager position was music to the Celtic supporters' ears. The untested and untried coach is living off his dad's name and has never been a manager in his own right. Facing up to Brendan Rodgers next season, Ancelotti will have a job on his hands to end Celtic's trophy dominance. But the story gets better. Mark Guidi has a theory on who could become Ancelotti's assistant, and it will have Celtic fans in tears. Duncan Ferguson could help Davide Ancelotti end Celtic's dominance. Big Dunk has been tipped as the man to help Rangers chase down Celtic and end the Parkhead club's dominance of Scottish football. Guidi told the Go Radio football show, obviously, Sean Dyche, Stephen Gerrard, Gary O'Neill. So it's all those kind of names, most of them with Premier League experience down the road. And I just thought, if it is Davide Ancelotti, and is clearly a name in the frame, he's now ready to go on his own and break the ties with his old man, I just wonder if Big Duncan Ferguson would be part of a backroom staff. They worked together at Everton. Carlo Ancelotti loved Big Dunk, absolutely loved him. Big Dunk's doing the rounds and out promoting his book, making it clear he wants to get back involved. Now, whether he'd want to be an assistant manager, I don't know, but I just wonder, with the Rangers connection, if it is Ancelotti, I reckon that Duncan Ferguson would be part of the staff. Duncan Ferguson. Superb. Let's take a look at his managerial record and how it qualifies him to help take down Celtic. Duncan Ferguson's managerial stats makes him a perfect Rangers appointment for Celtic. Ferguson has enjoyed 2 permanent posts as a manager in his career. Once at Forest Green Rovers and more recently at Inverness Cayley Thistle. In 18 games for Forest Green, Ferguson averaged 0.33 points per game ratio after winning just 1 fixture, drawing 3 and losing 14. Forest Green scored just 8 goals over that spell and conceded a whopping 36. At Inverness, he didn't fare much better. In 52 fixtures, Ferguson's points per game rose to a mere 1.27 after losing 18, drawing 18 and winning just 16 of all of his fixtures. Inverness also conceded 66 goals and scored 68 as they got relegated from the Scottish Championship last season. Ferguson for Rangers. The verdict from many Celtic fans will be, bring it on.